Thanks very much for joining us here at France 24. I'm Georja Calvin-Smith. This is Africa News, and tonight, outspoken critic of Nigeria's institutional corruption, Lamido Sanusi, has been suspended. The president accuses the respected central bank governor of misconduct amidst his warnings of missing $20 billion from the state oil company. Also, the UN's chief calls on the international community to ramp up its troop commitment to Central African Republic. With fears of genocide mounting, Ban Ki-moon's hoping to get a full-blown UN peacekeeping mission greenlit. That could take months. And getting South Africa's Zulus to change their spot. Conservationists worried about dwindling numbers of leopards encourage tribesmen to sport fake fur for traditional ceremonies. First up, Nigeria's president suspended the central bank governor who revealed that $20 billion in revenue from the state oil firm had gone missing. The government accused Lamido Sanusi, an outspoken critic of institutional corruption, of misconduct.
When President Goodluck Jonathan suspended Lamido Sanusi on Thursday, Nigeria's currency, the naira, fell. As central bank governor, Sanusi has won international respect. His suspension comes only a few days after he said the state oil firm, NNPC, couldn't account for billions of petrodollars.
There is a $20 billion that has not come back. The burden of proof is on NNPC. But we have made suggestions that we question some of those explanations, and we believe that even some of that which has gone to MPDC does not belong to MPDC, but to the Federation.
Asked if his suspension was politically motivated, Sanusi said, "I think the answer to that is obvious." Analysts question the timing of Jonathan's decision.
I think it's coming at the wrong time, sending the wrong signals. This is a man who is supposed to retire or resign in another 3 months by June. His tenure is supposed to expire. And he has indicated, unlike other Nigerians, that he was not interested in seeking a second term.
Some analysts said the president wanted to install a governor who may look the other way if the ruling party tries to dip into the public purse ahead of next year's election.
Well, earlier I spoke to Mr. Sanusi, who's currently in Lagos. I asked him whether, by pitting himself against some of Nigeria's most powerful political and economic forces, he expected some kind of professional blowback.
I did expect that there would be some reaction to the kinds of things that I've been doing over the last few years. I've always said that there would be a backlash. I didn't know what form it would take. I suppose from the day the president called me, asked me to resign, I knew that the handwriting was on the wall. So I wasn't totally surprised.
Yes, for the moment. So what reasons have you been given for your suspension? Have you been reckless, financially reckless, or responsible for any misconduct, in your opinion?
Well, it's funny, anyway, that such a word will be used about the central bank for a number of reasons. First of all, the central bank has been the greatest contributor to the internally generated revenue of government among MGAs in the last 5 years since I've been governor. I have consistently reduced operating costs. I've consistently given returns from surpluses from the central bank. Just last week, our audited accounts were concluded, and this year they're getting about $1 billion from last year's a surplus from the CBN. The allegations are, to me, very strange, especially when you compare with what's happening in the country. Certainly, they have no basis. But, this is a country where just a week ago, the oil company and the oil minister, in front of the Senate, in front of national television, admitted that they spent billions of dollars without appropriation on a subsidy on a product that was not subsidized. And nobody has called that financial recklessness. The national oil company has not been audited since 2005. It's not been called financial recklessness. We are audited by international audit firms every year. The audit for 2013 is already done, to be approved next week by the board, by PwC and Ernst & Young. I do not understand I think these are just the kind of charges you put up to give a dog a bite in order to hang it.
So it doesn't sound like you're particularly convinced by the government's commitment to tackling corruption in state institutions or companies.
No, I don't think so. I don't think there has been any serious commitment, and this is really the issue, isn't it? I mean, it's fine to it's good to speak about it, but in the case of NNPC, my view has always been that my position was not even an anti-corruption issue. I was interested because as governor of the central bank, I had responsibility for I do have responsibility for managing the exchange rate. I do have responsibility for managing our reserves. And it simply doesn't make sense to me that at a time when oil prices are at $110 and above, and we're producing 2.3 million barrels a day, we should be running down our excess crude savings. It simply doesn't make sense. The numbers don't add up. All revenues have been crashing without any change in oil price. And therefore, the questions I was asking were questions that were tied to my work.
Lamido Sanusi there, the suspended general of Nigeria's Central Bank, speaking to us a little earlier on. In other news, at least 13 people, including 9 children, have been killed in their sleep by gunmen in Nigeria's Plateau state. The raid on Rapiem village was launched early Thursday. It's not clear who's behind the killing. Now, the state falls on the dividing line between the Christian south and predominantly Muslim north. And tensions between rival communities often boil over into sometimes fatal unrest. Political tensions are on the rise in Democratic Republic of Congo. Our correspondent tells us that at least one person has been crushed to death as thousands of people fled shots fired by security forces on Thursday. Crowds had gathered for a rally of one of President Joseph Kabila's main rivals, Vital Kamerhe. Supporters of the former ally of the president stampeded in panic when police opened fire in the eastern town of Bukavu. Kamerhe has accused Kabila of trying to quash dissent ahead of elections in 2016. Now, with clashes between Christians and Muslims in Central African Republic threatening to spiral into genocide, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon on Thursday appealed to the international community to urgently send another 3,000 troops and police. The deployment would hopefully bridge the gap as he pushes for a full-blown UN peacekeeping mission, which, even if authorized, could take months. Well, Jessica Mazurier is in New York for us, and she joins us now. Jess, Ban Ki-moon clearly believes the situation is becoming increasingly desperate in Central African Republic.
Absolutely, Georgia. His message today was that time is of the essence in dealing with the crisis in the Central African Republic. Ban Ki-moon has personally called for 3,000 extra troops to be sent to the Central African Republic. You said it, to bridge the gap and help protect civilians until a full-blown UN peacekeeping mission can be sent there. Currently, there are African Union-led MISCA troops, about 6,000 of them, and another 2,000 French troops, Sangaris troops. The European Union is due to send 1,000 troops in early March, and we are expecting a UN resolution to be passed in early March to make way for a UN peacekeeping mission, but it will take about 6 months to deploy such a mission in the Central African Republic.
Thanks very much. Jessica Mazurier there for us in New York on calls from the UN's Chief Ban Ki-moon for more troops from the international community. Well, every year, thousands of worshippers at a traditional Zulu church dress in leopard skins to perform a traditional dance. But with fewer than 7,000 leopards left in South Africa, conservationists have persuaded members of the Shembe Church to wear fake fur to protect the threatened species.
A symbol of pride, beauty and power in traditional Zulu culture. Yet South Africa's leopards are being pushed towards extinction. Members of the 5 million strong Nazareth Baptist Church, known as the Shembe, wear leopard skins during their ceremonies, which blend Christianity with traditional Zulu beliefs. At their annual dance in KwaZulu-Natal, 1,500 men wear the skins in a region where only 600 leopards are left. Their scarcity makes the skins incredibly expensive too, €300 for a cape and €1,000 for a full outfit.
Everybody is entitled to go to make sure that he goes to the dance. So it becomes a problem to the others because of the affordability. These are very expensive.
Conservationists are using the Shembe's concerns over cost to help combat the slaughter of these endangered animals. Zoologist Tristan Dickerson came up with the idea of producing fake leopard skins, using designs that are as close to reality as possible.
We have found leopard skins that have been tailored into the shape that the Shembes are using, and we've pulled our designs straight off that and put them onto the computer here. Now that we've got these designs, we send this to China. They then make rolls of material for us that we import back here. Good morning, how are you?
So far, conservation group Panthera has donated 2,000 fake furs to the Shembe Church. and 4,000 synthetic furs are still being manufactured. But they know they're just scratching the surface, since most of the skins worn by the Shembe still come from poaching. By taking a pragmatic approach that values Zulu beliefs, these conservationists have earned the respect of the Shembe community.
As you know, at the early stages, not that anybody can wear a leopard skin. It was the reality. We also see the importance of the conservation of the cat. That is why they're here. That is why we did not reject them.
Putting a modern twist on Zulu tradition, fake furs could help keep Shembe customs alive while doing their bit to save South Africa's leopards from extinction.
Well, that wraps up African News from me. I'll be back with more tomorrow, though. Stay with us. A short break and more news and headlines from around the world. Take care.